What's up, guys? Nick with TrueVine. And are you thinking about doing your next addition? Maybe you're thinking to yourself, I have no idea what this thing is going to cost. In fact, when we're looking at additions, I find that clients have the most disparity between knowing what an addition is actually going to cost versus what they're thinking in their head. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the most important things that go into determining the investment of your next addition. And by the end of this, you should have some idea on where you're going to land with that next addition. Okay, so you've got your home, you love where you live, you don't want to move anywhere, and you think, I got this perfect spot for that next addition. Maybe it's a 2-car garage. Maybe it's a man cave. Maybe you're just finishing out this attic space up here to be a new office. Maybe you need a new gym space. Maybe you've thought about that sunroom or that screened-in porch, that all-seasons room that you've always wanted to have, and you are ready to build. There's a couple things you need to think about. The first one is size. Now, typically when I'm talking with clients and we're looking to add a one-room space, you're looking anywhere between 250 and 400 square feet. With that, sometimes smaller, it does not always mean cheaper. Here's why. When you start going up in size, you get into something called economy of scale. And that means there's certain efficiencies where you can potentially get more space for a similar amount of money. So don't think that just because your addition is smaller, that it's necessarily going to be less expensive. Of course, once you start getting into much larger square footage, you're adding 1,000 square feet, you're going to be investing more than you would if you were just doing 400 square feet. So when you start talking with your contractor, have a general idea of the size and how much square footage that you want to add to your house, so that way he can talk to you about the efficiencies, where you're going to get the most bang for your buck, and know what the available space is that you have in order to put that addition there. Sometimes when you're working with the permit office and code enforcement, they're going to require a certain amount of feet in between fence lines, between other structures. So you want to make sure that you're super clear with them, that you're talking with your contractor so you know exactly how much space you can get and the most efficient way to do that. All right, and the second thing that you're going to want to think of is what sort of utilities are we going to need in this space? If we're talking about a screened-in porch addition, okay, maybe you want electrical in there because you want some fans, you want some outlets, you want some other light fixtures, maybe some floodlights on the outside of that, but maybe you don't need plumbing and maybe you don't need HVAC. On the other hand, if you're doing a bedroom, definitely going to need the electrical. You're definitely going to need HVAC so that space can be heated and cooled. You're not going to necessarily need plumbing. But let's say you're going to do an outdoor living space, or you're going to add in a bathroom, a master bedroom, master bathroom. Now we're talking about adding plumbing. The more of these that you have, the higher the investment will be. And so when we're thinking about that, a lot of our videos we talk about what kind of foundation do you have. Okay, so if you're on a conventional foundation where we're building everything kind of above ground, you're going to have a lower investment in these three things because we can just run everything in the crawl space, so that way it's easy to access, easy to move. But if you have a foundation, now we've got to do some creative thinking. We have to plan all of this ahead of time, where at least with the plumbing, where we are going to be running all of that through the slab that requires excavation, and that is going to be a much larger investment than if you're putting plumbing in a crawl space. Electrical is pretty much the same. HVAC can pretty much be the same. The thing with the HVAC though is if you are on a foundation, that means all of your HVAC, all your ductwork and stuff, it's going to be going through the attic. Sometimes the addition that you are doing is not connected to a good spot in the house. It might be the best spot for the addition, but it may not be the best spot for that ductwork to continue through. A lot of times, if you can get that ductwork in, you're going to need to upgrade your HVAC unit to an additional tonnage. What does that mean? That basically just means your unit needs to be bigger to provide cold air to the rest of that space without sacrificing something in your home. So that is going to be an additional expense if you're using that. Sometimes when it's not able to connect to the existing ductwork, then you have to think about things like a mini split or come up with another creative way to heat and cool that space. Electrical, where is your panel at? Is your panel all the way around on the other side of the house? Are we going to have to run conduit? Are we going to be digging a line through the ground to connect? Do you have existing space in your electrical panel? Are we going to have to use a sub panel on the new addition? So those are all things to think about, and things that you'll kind of want to talk to your contractor about. Do they know if you have any space in your panel? Are they asking you about that? Are they asking if you don't have any space, if you're okay with a panel upgrade? That means we're gonna have to come in, tear everything out, give you a bigger panel, and rewire everything. So you can see that can add up costs quickly when you're talking about these three things. And so far we've talked about the size of your addition, the utilities that are gonna be involved, and the last one we're gonna talk about today are finishes. And I'm gonna kind of throw a bunch of stuff into that category so we don't have about 17 of them. But really what you want to do is think about what you want your addition to look like on the inside and the outside when it's done. And a lot of times when you're doing an addition, you want it to feel like it's always been part of the house. So that means you have to think about, if your house is bricked and you want that brick to match as closely as possible, you're going to invest a little bit more money than someone who's okay with putting up some siding or some vinyl or something that's a little less expensive. In addition, how does the roof tie in? Your contractor, when you're getting ready to move forward, should be getting a set of plans drawn up for you. And normally that comes with an additional investment because we have to get an architect involved who can come out, take a look, draw it up, let you know exactly how we can attach the new structure to your existing structure safely. So expect that when you're talking with a contractor that they're going to either ask you to go have plans made or they will walk you through that process. So back to the roof line, are we just going to do a flat roof? You know, it's probably not going to look like it's always been there, but it is a less expensive way to do that. Or are we going to tie this thing in to match your current roof style, the shingles, all of the above, so that way it looks like it's always been part of the house. In addition, you got to think about windows, exterior doors. We don't just want to put the cheapest stuff in there just to save money. We want it to match the existing look of the house as much as possible. When you're moving on to the inside of the house, things that you may never have thought of before, like your trim, your crown molding, baseboard, door trims, window trims, all of that stuff you want to match the existing house. So if you have a much nicer style than just a builder grade trim, then expect to invest a little bit more money on that kind of stuff. Flooring, a lot of times we don't have people make too big of a deal about the flooring because it's a separate room. They're okay with it not matching exactly, but if you want to match it exactly, if it's say a kitchen addition that you want to match the rest of the house, then you're potentially looking at replacing floors in other parts of the house as well if we can't find a match for that. So make sure that when you're getting ready to do your addition, you're talking to your contractor about these things, because let's face it, you can't be the expert in everything. Your contractor should know these things and should be helping walk you through these decisions to find the ideal products that will help your home blend in with the new addition, or the new addition blend in with your home. So that way you don't feel like you have to take all of this on your own. Okay, so those are the three main things that are really going to determine what the total investment is going to be for your next addition. So here's the type of investment that you're looking at when doing an addition at Truvine. So at Truvine, the most invested we've ever seen in an addition is $150,000, and that was for a 2-bedroom and bathroom addition. Our smallest investments are typically attic conversions. Those are still considered additions because you're adding square footage to your home. Those have ranged anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000. And then for just a standalone addition attaching to the house, the least expensive one that we've done is $60,000. And that is typically for like a 400 square foot bedroom. So hope this information was valuable to you. I hope you get somewhat of an idea of what your next edition is going to look like, and you guys have a tremendous rest of your week.